Hi there everybody and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about Oskayi Island, which is the new name of my season due to some pronunciation problems of my old season. The basic problem was it sounds too much like go nude, which means like go naked. I've had Julie Gals told me told me I'd have better luck with the season if I changed the name. So I did, so I changed it to Total Drama Oskayi Island. And Oskayi is the Cree word for new, which it matches the season a lot better in my opinion. It gives it more of a meaning because it's a new island, it's a new host, it's a new co-host, it's a new cast of 24, and it's got a bunch of new challenges, some old, some new, and new conflicts, new friendships, new everything. Everything is going to be brand spanking new about this season. It's almost going to be like a Total Drama. I'm not going to say reboot, but more like another chapter in this series or franchise, if you want to say that. So let's get to the point of this video. Is you might be wondering why I have all this space over here. It's not just to show off this beautiful logo. It's also to give me some space to talk about what's going to be popping up over here. So I'm going to get into the story of the host and co-host of Total Drama Oskayi Island, which are Carter McQua and Chief. So I'm going to dive into the story of Carter McQua and Chief. So let's start with Carter McQua. And again, I'm going to go, poof, he's going to show up over there. So yeah, that's Carter McQua. This is his third model. Technically, whenever I do a new model, I always wait till I improve drastically in skill and then do another one. First model was not so great. Second was and then the third one was just, this is Carter McQua. Carter McQua. So let's dive into his backstory now. He relates to Chris. So I've had lots of people asking or saying, like, if it doesn't have Chris McLean, it's no good. It's not going to be good. It's going to be terrible. Like, what are you thinking? You can't get rid of Chris. He makes Total Drama. Him and Chef are the glue that holds the show together. And it's like, I wouldn't necessarily agree. Not one. See, because I can even name a show where one character makes a show. It's always all the characters make the show. It's not just one. So that's why I'm kind of making this video, because people are concerned that if it doesn't have Chris, they don't want to watch it, which I think is a silly reason. Because it's just like when we had the Revenge of the Island cast show up, people were like, well, I don't want to see it if my favorite characters aren't in it. And I had that kind of really picky attitude, and then some you end up loving the new cast. So it's like, you're gonna say you hate it now, but when it comes out, you're gonna love it, and then you're gonna not feel so good about saying you hated it. But to ease all you people who are saying Chris is what makes the show, I'm gonna do a quick little video on Carter McQua, the new host of Total Drama Oskayi Island. So let's jump into the backstory of why I decided to have a different host. First of all, I made a different host because I didn't want to copy what Fresh TV had done. I wanted to do something original and different. And I didn't want to write my own dialogue for Chris that would just feel weird, because I don't know what Chris would say, because I'm not in that room of people who are talking about what Chris would be saying. Like, I know I got a good idea about what Chris would be saying, but if I was to write it, I would just feel really weird, and it'd be really weird for me. So I decided, well, I'm going to do a different host then, because of all the possibilities. So one thing I've always heard, I watch all of Christopher Potenza's videos, and one thing I always hear is Christian Potenza always records alone in his booth. There's nobody in there with him, interacting with him. I imagine sometimes he would have the voice of Chef come in there, Clay, or I know what he looks like. I know how his name is spelled. I just don't know how to pronounce it. But I imagine he would be in there with him sometimes, just because they do have some interactions together. But what I want to do is give Chris a rival where he, like him and his rival, go back and forth, and some people are saying, I'll also only watch it if Blanley's the new host. Well, I don't think Blanley would work as the host. I don't know. That just seems even weirder. So let's jump into the backstory of Carter McQua and Chris McLean. Carter McQua and Chris McLean were part of Fametown, the boy band. Their boy band probably consisting of 3 to 5 members, a lot like NSYNC. And the way I imagine it is, Chris is like Justin Timberlake, and he decided to leave NSYNC to pursue a solo career, which is kind of what happened to Chris. He wanted to pursue a solo career, and then everybody else was just kind of left not knowing what was going to happen to the group. And Carter McQua was kind of like the second guy in command. Like Chris was number 1, Carter McQua was number 2. No, the other guys just kind of followed them. But when Chris left, the group fell apart, and Carter McQua was kind of like, well, if Chris can do it, so can I. So they both started competing against each other to see who would get famous outside of Fametown. And both of them ended up hosting a figure skating show as judges. And at that time, they were trying to find a host for Total Drama, and that's when Chris got the call instead of Carter McQua. So Chris went and hosted Total Drama, and Carter stayed with the figure skating show and kept being the judge for that. Until Revenge of the Island came around and Chris was arrested, the Total Drama producers said, well, we can either bail Chris out now, or we can get a new host. And the producers argued for a little bit, and then they ultimately decided that the best thing to make them money was to bring in a new host. So they went to the number 2, which was Blanley. She refused to do it because of what Total Drama had done to her before, which is put her in a complete body cast and basically really messed her up. So she said, nope, not going to step into that, even though she really wanted to. She's like, no, too much danger involved, and her beautiful figure, her face needs to be intact a lot for her to make money. So they went to the number 3, which was Carter McQua. And Carter openly agreed. They phoned him up and said, Carter, do you want to come host the next season of Total Drama? And Carter said, yeah, give me the contract. Just so we can rub it in Chris's face when he sees that I took his job now. So they took Carter and said, you're the new host of the show. And bam, that was it. Carter became the new host. And he started hosting his season, and then they started doing casting calls. But the most important thing Carter wanted out of all of his contestants was that each one of them had to have 0 to no knowledge of Total Drama or Total Drama history, which meant he had to pick people who had never heard of the show, which is going to be complicated because Total Drama is very popular. So he basically sent out a casting call for people, but everybody who signed up knew what the show was. So he said, I need to get people who don't know about Total Drama. What am I going to do about this? So this is when Carter came up with a nasty scheme to basically put up a bunch of fake ads. Put up a bunch of fake ads for camps that would tailor to certain needs. Like there's band camp, there's training camps, there's chess camps, there's all these different camps. He sent out all these fake applications that would redirect them to the Total Drama online sign up, but it would be disguised. So he sent out all these fake advertisements, and the applications started flying in. At that point, they shuffled through all of them and they shuffled through all the sign-ups, and they managed to find 23 people who had never heard of Total Drama out of all the people who submitted it. And then Carter had a problem. He goes, 23, time to drastic measures. That's when he started looking for one person individually who could give him a lot of hype that season, and he ended up finding that person. So then he had 24. So with 24 new contestants, they need to find an island Well, the producers heard of this old army boot camp sergeant named Chief. He lives on a deserted island somewhere where he built a boot camp, and parents would send their children there, or if they wanted to be trained, they would go to this boot camp where Chief would whip them into shape. Now, Chief is a veteran of the war, and was basically the running leader of his platoon and his camp. He was the big man in charge, hence the name Chief. Everybody called him Chief. Yes, Chief. And they always did what he told them to do. Till one day his camp was attacked and he escaped with a army cook. Him and this army cook had to trudge through miles of wilderness to basically save their comrades. And Chief and this army chef managed to get through this wilderness due to both their combined efforts of Chief's strategy and leadership skills and the cook's survivability skills of scrounging up food from anything and making it edible. And they managed to get help, and they managed to save their camp and platoon. And then Chief decided he didn't want to be in the army anymore. He ended up buying an island and basically just living there and making a boot camp, and then opened it up to the public and said, well, if I'm going to live here, I guess I will officially open up something and do something with it. So he decided to open up a boot camp, and then he would train kids in boot camp. That was his thing. And then one day the business just stopped happening, and nobody came to the island anymore, and he had this big camp and nothing to do with it, and he just lived on it. So he was back to being alone, and the producers had found out about this island and had gotten in contact with him and said, could we possibly use your island for the new season of Total Drama? And he said, yeah, sure, if you give me some money and I get to be the co-host and I get to go back to my old ways of bossing kids around. And they said, we like your style. Yeah, we'll let you be the co-host. We look for a new one of those guys. The old one's a little bit faithful to our old host, so yeah, we'll take you. Yeah, we'll do that. So at this point, they had their new island, their new host, their new co-host, their new contestants, everything. They had what they needed. So they put them on the island and they started to do their season. And then that's where Total Drama Oskayi Island begins. But here's the thing. Total Drama Oskayi Island started pulling in such great numbers, or started pulling in such hype in the show business there, saying, yeah, we got Total Drama Oskayi Island going, it's going good, we got Carter McQua hosting it, and it's going to be great. And then other companies started saying, well, we want to get on this too, and they started funding them for more later seasons of Oskayi Island with Carter McQua. And then they started getting all this money, and they said, well, now that we've got this money, why don't we just get Chris out of jail? And then we can start hosting double seasons. And that's when the producers flicked on, we'll bail out Chris and start hosting 2 seasons at a time. So Total Drama Oskayi Island was already halfway through it when they bailed out Chris and started doing All Stars. Kind of gets my drift here? So Oskayi Island is already halfway through and has generated enough hype and has got the producers enough money to bail out Chris and start Total Drama All Stars, which is, as we know, what happened. But then Total Drama All Stars also ends a little bit before Total Drama Oskayi Island, which is why in episode 24, like I mentioned in my previous video, why we get a cameo of some all-star contestants in Oskayi Island. So yeah, Total Drama Oskayi Island and Total Drama All Stars were recorded and happened at the same time, which I think is pretty cool. It's just one happened on the west coast near Victoria, one happened in Muskoka, Ontario, or Muskoka, Ontario. I'm pretty sure it's Muskoka, Ontario. So yeah, it basically happened out each end of the country, which is pretty cool in my opinion. But then when the All-Stars landed on the island, Carter McQua went, well, why are how things are adding up? So he phoned the producers and said, how come these guys are here and they're talking about some All-Star season? And the producers basically told Carter, yeah, we decided that with the money we got from your show, we bailed Chris out. And Carter McQua was like, I see. So I got enough money to give my old rival his job back. He probably wasn't very impressed. And at that point, Chris found out about Carter McQua having almost taken his job. So Chris decided that he was going to host a season on the West Coast to basically outsource Carter's season and basically shut him down. And the producers didn't want to lose Chris as their main host, so they said, well, we'll let you finish, but we're not sure if we're going to air it immediately after you're finished with it. And Carter was like, ooh, there goes Chris ruining my life again. So basically, what happened to Total Drama Oskayi Island was Chris basically boycotted it so that it could not air at all because they would lose him as the host if it did air. And that's when Chris decides he's going to host another season, Total Drama Oskayi Island, on the West Coast as well, to try and outsource Oskayi Island so that it never airs. But yeah, Oskayi Island has the glimmer of hope to become something real. So you can kind of see where I'm tying it to real life, where I have Oskayi Island and it's all there. All the characters are here. It just needs to air. That's all it is. It just needs to air. It's all tucked away and sealed in video files. It just needs to be cut together into episodes and put on the air for everybody to see. And that's where all of you guys come in. You guys are kind of like the audience who wants to see that the season that took place during All-Stars when Chris was in jail. See what I'm getting at here? It's going to be really cool if that actually happens, which I'm not going to lie, it's going to be super sick. So that's kind of like the backstory between Chris, Carter, and Chief, and some army cook. I don't know who that could be. I haven't thought that far ahead yet, who this army cook might be, or this army chef. Okay, going back to characters, and some people have been saying, like, why can't you just make a season where it has all the originals in it and, you know, give those people screen time, and or have like a half and half, 12 new contestants and 12 old. Well, here's the thing. Total Drama Oskayi Island isn't just a concept, it's done. I've written everything. It's all cemented. If you're asking me, I'll only do it if it's half and half. I'll only support you if it has Noah. I'll only support you if it has Cody. I'll only support you if Justin gets to kiss a girl in it. Sorry, Lucas, but you've been kind of bugging me a lot about that. Like, each character will have their time. You just gotta let Oskayi Island happen so we have the abundance of characters to work with. Not to mention the Pocket 2 cast. So imagine like this. You have the original 24, you have the Revenge of the Island, and Pocket 2, who basically make up their own 26 character cast. And you have Oskayi Island, which is another 24. Now, when you look at Survivor, they have, I think it's like 27 seasons, and they always have new people in it each time. And when they have an All-Stars, there's a lot of big names in All-Star season. Like, if you look at Amazing Race All-Stars this season, because they keep bringing in new contestants that end up being huge names in the show, it gets more interesting when you get an All-Stars again. You catch my drift? More characters means more superstars, which means whenever an All-Stars happens, you don't get the problem of having Sam, Lindsay, Sierra in an All-Star seasons where they don't belong. See what I'm getting at? More contestants, more All-Stars means a better All-Star season. Yeah, 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 yeah. Get what I'm saying. I hope I covered enough on Carter and Chief. I think I might dive into it a little bit more. Uh, Carter acts a lot like Chris to begin with. Both of them are very self-centered and are both very egotistical, and basically they both act the same way, and that's why they were both picked to be in Fametown. But as you can tell, Chris was more of the lead man in that situation. Carter is also very jealous of Chris. So whenever somebody tries to mention Chris, or they say, "Hey, weren't you on that figure skating show with the other dude?" He'll immediately shut them up and be like, "No, don't talk about that guy. Shut up, Chief. Hit him with a pan. Do it. I don't care. Hit him. Do it now." Mm. But anyways, that's kind of like how Carter is. He's very just me, 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 me. It's my time now. Put Chris away and leave him there. Leave him in the jail. Do it. Do it, Chief. Do it. Don't let Jeff get in there. You let him in. Damn you, Chief. But you see what I'm getting at? That's kind of how Carter's a lot like Chris in that way. It's just me, 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 me. And Chief is very hilarious. Like, Chief is one of my favorite characters. I would want him to act like a coach from 16, like Coach Halder. I would love him to voice Chief because that'd be awesome. That'd be amazing. It'd just be amazing to have that guy back. I love Coach Halder in 16, so it'd be awesome to have him play the voice of Chief, and I think he would really suit the role of that character. Man, that's like one of my voice. That's one of like my voice acting picks for Chief is I want the guy who's the voice of Coach Halder to be the voice of Chief, because that'd be amazing. Chief often has like war flashbacks during challenges, so it also gets really funny in some of like the intros where like you have Chief and Chef doing something, like Carter's doing the review of the last episode, and he's like, "Last time on Total Drama Oskayi Island," and then he'll do the review, and at the very end they'll be like, "But today we're doing something different, right, Chief?" And they'll have Chief wearing a blindfold while cutting stuff in the kitchen. He'll be like, "Is this a good idea, Carter? Is this a good idea?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're fine. Just a little more to the left and cut, slink." And he cuts his finger. And he's like, "Ha ha, I made you cut your finger." But anyways, that's kind of like the new chemistry you'll get with Chief and Carter is Carter always making Chief do stupid stuff because he can, and Chief will easily fall for it because he just does. He just does whatever Chris doesn't do. He does whatever Carter doesn't do. He sees Carter as a superior officer, so he always listens to his orders and follows them out without regret. Until he gets annoyed at the end of the season, I guess, which you could say. But I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to ask me questions and retweet me and tweet at Fresh about this, because the more people we have talking about it, the better it gets. I hope you guys ask me more questions and get more hype behind this, because I want it to be big. So thank you for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. And remember, if you guys bring up enough questions, I might do another video about them. So thank you, and goodbye.